everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you guys so much for making it out here on this beautiful, humid Houston Saturday morning. Thank you so very much. So we have a wonderful speaker here today. But just before I introduce her, I do want to make sure that we have a few of our housekeeping details in check. So first things first, you want to make sure that you only have water in here in hopefully closed containers. Anything apart from water, if you wouldn't mind making sure that that is out of the room. Just to make sure that there's nothing other than water with you at this moment. Next thing, so that we're not a distraction during this meeting, you want to make sure that your phone is on silent. If you absolutely need to have the phone on, preferably on vibrate, and hopefully you're sitting by a close exit so that if you do get a call or a text, you're able to kind of move out without disturbing during the session as well. Another point would be those of you with loose containers, cups, tissues, things like that. We just want to make sure that we are keeping our building and our rooms beautiful, clean, and we're not creating extra work for the volunteers and the staff. So please make sure that we're cleaning up after ourselves every time we move out of the rooms, okay? Thank you so very much. Alrighty. Today's speaker is Shantera Chatman, or Chatman. I'm so excited because I love her. I love her presentations. Her presentations are really wonderful, so I'm not hyping her too much. This is really going to be amazing. So Ms. Shantera Chatman is the managing partner of CNA Global Group. It's a women-owned, people-focused consulting firm. She is a strategic organizational engagement and adoption consultant with experience in organizational change management, project management, process improvement, and transition management. She frequently facilitates discussions on leadership, diversity, and self-esteem. We don't need that. At her alma mater, Texas A&M University. She has worked throughout her career to help others discover their leadership talents through group facilitation, motivational speeches, and other workshops and seminars. Shantera is also the founder and executive director of the Chapman Women's Foundation. In its 11th year, the foundation is not just a reflection of Shantera's beliefs, but also the beliefs of women living, growing, and thriving in and around the Houston community. She's often criticized for being too smart. We can all relate, probably. And Shantera refuses to dummy down her message of power and self-worth. Her message of being true to oneself is genuine and clear. She stresses an unapologetic belief in self and strong values that will build a foundation that is unbreakable. So if that bio doesn't tell you everything that's going to happen today, I don't know what will. Please welcome Ms. Shantera Chatman.
I apologize for being a couple of minutes late. 288 kind of got me this morning. I thought I was doing good, leaving a little before an hour, but I was telling Monica as I walked up, I guess it was kind of the perfect storm. Freeway closure, go down to one lane, and an accident. And I was thinking, okay, I've never done this before, but we're going to get off on this on-ramp. And everybody was just kind of turning off, which helped me. Thank you for the introduction and for the excitement. I love coming here and speaking with ladies at Dress for Success. I love hearing from you guys afterwards. This is probably one of the best groups that I speak to because people actually call back and they want to talk and they want to learn more, or they're asking for mentors and things of that nature. So I really appreciate all of the support and love that I get from Dress for Success. That's why I love coming here and presenting. So today, I'm really excited because I was told that I could talk about my book, emPowHering You 12 Tips for Finding Your Voice. As a matter of fact, as I understand, it's going to be the book kicking off the book club here at Dress for Success. So we're very excited about that. And so I brought books, that's why I was willing in, so for Monica to be able to do that. So what we're going to do today is not necessarily just talk about the book, but we're talking about the content that's in the book, 12 Tips for Finding Your Voice. And I wanted to, one, be able to explain why why did I decide to have this book? Is it on this side?
Yes.
Perfect. Why I decided to write this book, why did I feel like it was needed, and how everything is really set up with it. So empowering you, for anyone who's been to any of the things that I do with the Chapman Women's Foundation, we have this term, emPowHering. And this term really is about building up a woman. It is whatever it is that she wants to do in her own time and how she wants to do it. We will help to empower her to do so at the Chapman Women's Foundation. So a lot of times when I'm doing things, I'm using that empower in the book, in the titles, in all the things that I do, because I want to be able to say that this is to help empower women. And so with this book, I get questions, as you can imagine, having a women's foundation, working with women, I get a lot of questions about what I feel like is the most important aspect of women's empowerment. And to me, that's your voice. Because without your voice, you really cannot express who you are. And also, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of all craziness, your voice is the first thing that tends to leave. So if you think about it, if any of you have had any type of experiences in domestic violence or domestic disputes, the ladies that I've worked with, the first thing that happens is they get quiet about it. They don't tell anyone. And so they're losing their voice a little bit at a time, and before they know it, they're completely silent. In corporate America, we don't like the way we're being treated. I'm just gonna sit over here and do my job. I'm not gonna say nothing to anybody. You're not hurting them, you're hurting you, because you're losing your voice, and in turn, you're losing you. So I started to think, well, if I really feel as though one of the most important aspects of women's empowerment is your voice, how do I discuss with women how to rebuild, reclaim their voice? Because I've had to do it over and over and over. When I left corporate America, I felt like I was a little bit dejected because of some of the things that was happening to me in corporate America. So I decided that I needed to kind of rebuild me. I needed to figure out what my voice was going to be outside of that box that is corporate America. Since I'm stepping out of the box and I'm throwing away the box, I can be who I want to be, but who is that? What does she look like? What is it that she's trying to say? I mean, even away from the Chapman Women's Foundation, Shantera, without all of the other pieces, without the spouse, without, the mom, without the foundation and the job, who am I? So that's where this book came from. It is pretty much a workbook. We talk about tips, 12 tips in the book, 1 to be worked a month. So it takes you through the course of a year. Sometimes people get through it before then, but the goal is to be able to take the time to work through the process. And you have questions and monthly assignments that you ask yourself. So this book really is about helping you to build yourself. And so what I'm going to do today is just kind of walk through the tips. Some of you may be a part of the book club, some of you may not, but you will still be able to get kind of the gist of what it takes to build your voice, reclaim your voice, and own who you are. Any questions before we get going? And we're going to probably do some exercises in between. So there's going to be some interaction. There's going to be some talking, because I want to hear from you. I want you to kind of be able to understand where I was going with it. But the first tip is defining who you are. And if you didn't get why you would need time to work through each tip, this is the first one, and it will tell you why. Because who can just sit up and think within 30 seconds who they are? You have to take the time to think about it, because there's so many aspects to who you are. There's so many facets, whether it's that you're a mother, or that you're a spouse, you're an aunt, you're a daughter. We have so many pieces of who we are that we need to think about how we want to define us. And I love quotes, so and so they just kind of help to set the standard. And who better to start a book off with, or to start any conversation about who you are, than a quote by Coco Chanel. and the quote says a girl should be 2 things: who and what she wants. I mean, really, who she wants to be and what she wants to be, not what others think you should be. And these days with social media, everybody's telling you who you're supposed to be, right? Everybody's telling you what you're supposed to look like. We're putting pictures out there so somebody that we don't even know, because really, are we talking to 1,000 people a day? No, but we want the likes. We want the little hearts, all of those things. And so, you may be thinking, I don't care what they say about me, but if you put it out there and you're wanting that affirmation, we are. And what if someone said, oh, that looks terrible, or you suck, or you shouldn't do that? Are we gonna stop? Some people do. And that's the problem. We're living for others and we're not living for ourselves. When I was promoting just yesterday, I had an event for my foundation, Power Play. It was a professional women's breakfast, and I saw some of the faces in here that were at the event. But I posted a flyer. You know, as we do, you promote your event. And it was a breakfast, so it started at 7:30. And I had someone that I don't know, she posted onto the foundation page, this is absolutely too early in the morning. You need to do your events later in the day. Who wants to? Something about traffic and all around Houston, no one wants to do that. Right. And so, right. And so I was thinking, you know, at first, right where you were, okay, why are you posting this? And so I had to breathe for a moment, and I try to respond to people on the foundation page. I will scroll past a lot, but that one I just said, hey, it's a breakfast. We've been doing it for 5 years. The ladies tend to really love getting out early in the morning, getting some work in, and then going on with the rest of their day. This is obviously not an event for you. Maybe you would want to come to something later in the year when we host evening events. Left it at that. And we got all of these hearts. People were like, yep. And I got some phone calls saying, that was great, because I was going to tell her. And I was like, no. I love that you are, you know, protective of the foundation or whatever, but we don't want to do that. I just wanted, since she was someone that I hadn't recognized the name, you definitely don't want to tell anyone, just shut up, don't show up, you know, but at the same time, hey, why even bother? But that goes to the point of trying to figure out who you are and being good with it and not letting anyone kind of push you off of your mark. So how many of you have heard of the 30-second pitch? A lot of times we talk about it in business and, you know, how do you want to sell your business? What is it that we want people to know? If you were stranded on an elevator with Oprah, what would you tell her about your business to make her want to work with you? All of these things. Well, take the business out of it for a minute. What would you want to say about you? Why do I want to be associated with you? Have any of you created a 30-second pitch just for you? Would you care to share it?
I don't know where to start.
You're like, yeah. Well, I want not to put you on the spot. Okay, Adrian?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning again, and thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Mine is, I'm a beautiful, blessed, bold, blazing butterfly.
Wow, I love it. And the bee, is there a reason for the bee?
Everything, ma'am. This is so many, yes, ma'am.
So, because you're using beautiful, blessed, bold butterfly, so for using a bee,
Yes.
can I ask what?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I didn't get it all at one time, and it came over time, and,
Okay.
and I wasn't all those things at one time. I just, I learned, I accept I'm beautiful and blessed. I knew I was blessed, and that I was bold. And I haven't, when I got this 5 years ago, I wasn't bold.
Okay.
But I'm more bolder than I was. And then some things that you're saying, when I'm in a room, I wouldn't speak. I would just do this, and just to be able to talk, and then blazing, and like I wasn't there. I wasn't always those things, but when it was given to me, I wasn't always at that level. But now I know who I am more than I've ever known.
See, that is great, and you see how that's happening. But you see what happened when she gave me her 30-second pitch. I started asking questions. Now I'm interested. Now I want to know who you are. Now I want to know about the bees. I want to understand all of these things and when did blazing come and what is it that was given to you? I have like all kinds of questions. And so that is what having that 30-second pitch will do. Just like it would in business, but about you. Because a lot of times we're out at networking events and they teach us to talk about all the things we're doing. They teach us to say, here's my business card and I do this and, and I sell Mary Kay. And if you ever, have an opportunity and you need someone with, my skill set, give me a call. But what they also say is true networking is ensuring that you build a strong relationship, you know, and you try to let people know who you are. But you were taught to talk just about the business. So how will they know really who you are if in your 30 seconds, if that's all we have, all you're giving is what your business is? Yes, ma'am.
So what I've done with that is tell them how I've started my business. Because people are like, oh, this is so great, what makes you think of that? And then I tell them, well, I got laid off and this,
You start to get your story.
And then they're like, oh, more questions like you said. So if you can tie into what you're doing, how you got there, that would help talk about yourself and get people to know who you are as a person.
See, that's really good.
Yes.
So when you're out there networking, don't make it just about the business. Because we're more than our businesses. We're more than, just like we're more than our kids, we're more than our families. I've had so many ladies to say, you know, after I had my children, I no longer was sharing. People knew me as David's mom. They never said my name anymore. And it's the same with business. I want people to know Shantera just as much as I want them to know the Chapman Women's Foundation, just as much as I want them to know about my consulting business. Because if it wasn't for who Shantera was, those things would thrive. And so that's the first thing, is understanding who you are and being able to define that. And there are things you can do. You can ask yourself questions. You can really start to ask other people around you what they think of you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later, is getting feedback from others. Because even though it's not you and not what you're thinking, it's good to understand what other people see in you too. Some of it you may not like, some of it you just kind of say, oh, okay, that's fine. But some things, you know, you'll be like, hey, I didn't even think about that. That does work. That is why people come to me. And it may help you to kind of build on that voice.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I would not be sure that people would really tell me the truth about what they think of me.
Well, the thing is, you don't ask everybody. You ask your trusted people.
Oh,
You only ask the people that you care what they think.
okay.
If you don't care what they think, there's no need in asking. I would definitely not post a question out. I see people do it, post it on social media. Hey, what do you think I should wear tomorrow? This or this? Or what do you think about my business logo? Or what do you like? I don't care what you guys think. If I don't know you, I may have 3 or 4 people that I ask questions about me, my business, what I look like, you know, things that people that I care about their opinions. If I really truly don't want to know, I'm not going to ask you. Because and then it's just fluff. It's just extra. Yes,
Not
ma'am.
everybody is about your dream
Right.
or your success.
Exactly.
And you have to, like you said, you have to proceed with caution, because sometimes you sharing that with them, they'll purposely come back and make it a derogatory situation. And they're like, why are you even trying that? You're not even going to be good at that.
Right.
So you really have to be very conscious of who you want to talk to.
And, you know, just to piggyback off of your point, a lot of times people will put their insecurities about something on you. So you're stepping out to start something new. You're leaving the job to go into a new career. You're starting a new business. They're scared to do it, so they're going to tell you all the reasons why they won't do it or why they wouldn't do it. And somehow they're going to try to convince you, and it may not be malicious, but it's just who they are. Most people will do that. It's hard to take out your apprehensions and try to encourage you. So you have to really be careful about that. So when we talk about feedback, that's really pretty much the clear message, is ensuring that you trust the people that you're asking. And even though you trust them, because a lot of times family may not be the ones that's going to come along for the ride with you. And that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother speech. Right. So for tip 2, this is actually one of my favorites, setting your boundaries. Because I like to see boundaries as like your home. Who do you want in your house? And who don't you want in your house? Not too many people know my address. Not too many people even know my phone number. And that includes family, and that's not to say that that's a problem or that's mean or me being hateful or any of those things. It's, I know what I want in my space. I know what I want around me, and I know what I don't. And I'm okay with it. And if they're not, it's okay. If they don't have my address, they don't have my phone number. But the quote by Robert Frost, says, good fences make good neighbors. That's because you keep them in their place until you want to open that door. And when you're ready to close that door, then they go back on their side of the fence and you have your time at your time. Setting boundaries is probably one of the hardest things for people to do because they feel like they are being mean, especially with family. Especially with family, telling a family member no, or saying, no, you don't need to come over today, or you can't come over, I don't feel like having company, all of those things, people really tend to struggle with that. I didn't think that was the case, but over the time that I've been promoting this message and promoting this book, I found that a lot of people really struggle with setting boundaries. But if you think about it, boundaries help you to define who you are, because now you're thinking, what don't I want around me? And then protect yourself from violators. There are lots of times that you can put out your boundaries. I tend to tell people when I meet them, if I know that I'm going to let them into my personal world, I will start to say, okay, this is who I am. Here are the things that I just really don't like people coming near me with. You know, I can handle a lot of drama and handling you and your drama, but if you decide that you're going to bring drama to my mom, bring drama to my family, and bring drama to my husband, we're gonna have a conversation. Those are the areas that I tend to keep, kind of off limits because, I just don't want my mother mixed up in anything crazy. She has me to deal with, that's enough crazy. And my two brothers, same thing, they're dealing with me, they don't need to be extra. And if you tell my husband some days, I'm too much. So if I'm bringing other people into that house, that's bringing their extra to them, not to me, because I said I'm going to be your friend. I said that you can come and hang out with me and bring whatever, and then I will let you know if it even becomes too much for me.
That's good.
It helps to bring order, as you can imagine, because it's, hey, here's our boundaries. This is the nature of our relationship. Because some people you don't really want to have that deeply into your world, and there's some people you want, on the out. Hey, we're good. We can go to lunch, and we can hang out. We can do play dates with the kids. However, we're not going to hang out at home. And it's okay to be vocal about it. And because that's when you know if they're going to be okay with it. Because a friendship, a relationship of any kind, whether it's business or personal, it has to be two-way. It's not just about you. It's about them as well. And then it helps to promote you and protect you from the control of others. A lot of times, that's when you find out who people really are, and they want to control you, and they want to control your thoughts, and they want to control how you are.
Yeah.
And you get to decide if you want to be controlled by them.
Yes.
A lot of times that answer is no, and sometimes we don't know how to get out of situations when we've gotten in too deep, or we've known someone for years, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I didn't even realize all this time they were controlling this. They were in the midst of this relationship with me. And now I'm having to figure out how to kick them out. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. And that's some drama.
Yes.
That can be some drama. But preserving your purpose and mission, that's really important. Because after you've gone through the first part of defining who you are, now you kind of know where you're going. You kind of know what you want to do. You got to preserve that. You have to protect that. And that goes back to not sharing everything about your world with everyone. I'm someone that really doesn't tell everyone every dream that I have. Everything that I'm working on. I don't do that. I also don't post a lot of that on social media. I know enough about knowing that once people see what you're doing and see it doing well, they all of a sudden love it and they try to do it. I get the phone calls that say, hey, let me pick your brain for a little while. I would love to know how you did that. And when I go to sit down to chat, they pull out a recorder. I was like, wait a minute. We're not just chatting about, kind of the overarching, how did I do it? You want details. You're about to try to duplicate what I'm doing. You're trying to take my livelihood. You're trying to take who I am.
So how do you handle that?
I decline the meetings.
I was getting ready to say,
You
or
what?
set up a contract for you to.
Well, if it's going to be business discussion, if I didn't know it was gonna happen until I'm sitting there, I do have to say, you know, hey, I have to protect my intellectual property. So that's not something that I'm willing to share everything. I have no problems giving the overarching how I started anything. But going into details of, you know, day one, this is what I did, and this is who I called, and this is who I worked. Those are things that's you know, proprietary to how I started my business and what I, you know, what is me. I can't give you that. I can't tell you all of those things. I have no problem with answering questions that you may have about what you're doing. And I don't even have a problem referring you to experts. But sharing all of me, I won't do. So even in a contract, I'm not willing to sell my business. I'm not willing to sell Shantera. There's a little secret sauce in there that's me. But I'm not willing to, you know, change. And sometimes people will get it, and sometimes they won't. But that's okay. Again, I have those boundaries, and I'm okay with it. And the one other thing, and I'll get to your question, is we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
The things that we accept, whether it's how they talk to us, the questions they ask us, we are teaching them every single day. So a lot of times, I will stop someone from saying something the very first time, just because I know that it's not gonna sit right with me. And I don't want it to continue. So I stop it the first time out. I won't give anyone a second chance to disrespect me. I won't give anyone a second chance to try to do me or try to take something from me. And then oddly enough, my pastor, the pastor of a church that I used to work, that I used to go to, she took my emPowHering brand and created an event with the exact same name, my emPowHering Plane, and posted it. And that was probably one of the harder things, just because she was a woman of the lady of the church, the first lady of the church. But I called my attorney and I said, we got to get this taken care of. And the letter, you know, typically you have one of those cease and desist letters and you send. It was a little bit more personal because it was, you know me. You were at my first event. You were at, so this is absolutely something that was purposefully done. Now, she didn't respond to any of our messages. Her event just all of a sudden didn't happen. I'm okay with that. As long as I got what I needed out of it. So I didn't give her another chance to try to steal what I built. You'd have a question and you have questions. And it's not about being mean, and it's because selfish kind of has that connotation of being mean. You know, I'm trying, but you know, almost a little hurtful. Yeah, I'm taking from you to, I'm hurting you for something I want. Boundaries is, it's me. I have to put me first and who I am first and take care of my heart, my soul, my spirit. So when you're thinking about boundaries, you have to be thinking about just you and no one else. Selfish is when you're trying to do something, take something away from someone else because it's something you want. This is something you need for your sanity. So when you're writing your list of boundaries, you do that kind of by yourself. You don't want to have that conversation with anyone else because you have to be comfortable with it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a similar situation. I work as a reporter, and I had this woman couched it in, oh, you're so good, you know so much about this. And then I found out she was writing a story on the same subject for our competition. And then her name is also Michelle. Then I found out she was calling people and saying, this is Michelle. And, you know.
And so they're thinking it's you.
And some of them would say, I already talked to you today.
Oh, wow.
That's how I found out, because when I called them, they said, I already talked to you.
Wow. And so we don't know. If you don't really know the person, you probably shouldn't be sharing anything about your business. You probably shouldn't be sharing anything deep about you. Because when you go into, oh, I knew this because, and this is how, you know, your story, you're just sharing. You're thinking it's okay. But did you know her well? You didn't. And so that's a lesson learned for you now, right? Moving forward, you're like, I'm not giving up anything. It's okay. Sometimes we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You kind of have to live it to know if it's good or bad. Think about it. If we have kids, you can't truly take care of you. I mean, take care of a kid until you're able to take care of you. You want to be able to give them everything. But if you are halfway or, you know, way down at the bottom of the cup, you have nothing left to give, you're only going to give them just a little bit. But if you're full, you get a good night's rest, you go into your place, you meditate, you pray, whatever the things you need, you go for a walk, you work out, you have a lot more energy to give, and your kids will see it. They may not see it immediately because they want you right now, but you're saying, give me 2 hours or give me 30 minutes or whatever, I promise I'll be right back. You're gonna be better. So you have to think about you. Did you have something else?
Oh, I was just gonna say with both of you all, just like what the lady did to you in church and what the lady did to her. Okay, that was a bad thing. We know it was bad. It was not a good experience.
Right.
But it was a teaching and a learning moment.
Yes.
So you would have never gotten into learning to protect your brand, possibly strengthen your brand, or use the cease to desist had that not happened.
Exactly.
So you were able to and set boundaries. That you wouldn't be able to put that in your book. It's like one of your strong.
Yeah,
Had that not
I
happened.
lived it,
you
so I
learned.
know. I
So you
learned and I've
learned.
known. Yeah, and you know, and not knowing that I needed an attorney that would have to do that. So identifying your tribe. Life is all about finding people who are your kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Because we all have a special kind of crazy, right?
Yes.
I know I do. Yes.
Sometimes sharing your knowledge and your expertise in whatever field you're in. I'm in real estate,
Yes.
and it happens so often that you would tell people, you know, let's do it, help them, teach them about their first purchase, whatever. Then you refer them to a lender as somebody you feel that can help them. And next thing you know, you don't hear back from your client, and they already got a house.
Mhm.
And then you realize that the lender is also a real estate agent. And it was just kind of like, okay, I did all the hard work. We were just trying to get them finance. That's all they needed. And then, you know, you stop trusting people, even in the professional environment, where they so, the status quo call, you know, oh, you're professionals. But, you know, when it's about money or, you know, reputation, it's so hard to, I guess, choose who you can and cannot trust. Because you go to a business because, you know, they're professionals just like you, and they're in the business to make money. But sometimes people just go a different way.
They do, and so that's why I said take the time to learn people. Take the time to know, to understand and know who's really for you to work with. Understand who your network is. I tend to refer to same people for the same things because we've been working together. I know them, I trust them. I know what they're going to, you know, the quality of work they're going to give to someone. I know their temperament, and I also know they would never betray me. And they understand and they understand the value of a referral. So as a real estate agent, it's so many out there. Some people just have their license and they're lying dormant. So you have to understand, you know, who you can trust in that business, in that line of work, that you can refer people to and know that they're not going to try to take your business and take your livelihood away. Now your tribe, that goes right to your network, but this is really about even personally. Who are you hanging around with?
Yeah.
And I like to say, who would you send in the room if you're running late for a meeting and they're already there? And you call them and you say, hey, I'm running late. Just network around and make sure to tell them this and this about the business or about me. Who would you trust with that? And also, if I'm in the room as one of those people that's waiting for you and I see who you brought in as a representative of you, what am I going to think about them? And then those thoughts about them now become my thoughts about you. Because everything is a reflection, right? I say, you know, my mother's worked too hard for me not to be great. You've heard the quote a lot, you know. The same thing is about your friends. You've worked too hard for you not to have great people around you. Because people are going to assume you are them. Yes.
Is it not uncommon to have a few different tribes for different areas of your life?
It's not uncommon to do that. Because I have people that I work with about business and that I go network with. I have people that, you know, it's just my tea time. Ladies, let's go and hang out and have tea. And then there's, you know, only one or two that's gonna know absolutely everything. Really one, that's my husband. He probably didn't want to be that, but sometimes I just kind of dump. But it's really up to you and how you need, how many people you need around you. Me, I don't need more than 4 or 5 people around me at any time. But some people really like that big crew and they want to go on vacations with them and they want to hang out and it's just you. It's a personal preference. It's what you want, but it's understanding what they're bringing to the table, because it's not all about what they're getting. You have to be getting something, and it needs to be positive what you're getting. So you want to make sure that the people that you're hanging out with show up, and they show up for you. Because there's this difference with, we hear the word squad a lot. That's our squad, these are squad goals and all that. Those are people that they're good to take pictures with. They're good for your Instagram. But what I'm talking about, I've been working 3 years with this client and they just let me go. I need somebody to just hear me and to understand what that means to my family. And be okay, no judgment, because I may not need you to tell me what to do next. I don't need you going to tell everybody in the world what just happened. I'm talking to you. And so that's what I'm talking about. That's the tribe. Those are the people that know your intimate thoughts. They allow you to talk about you without interjecting I, without saying, oh, girl, this is what I would do. Yes, ma'am.
Will you apply this in a nonprofit role? Will you apply identifying your tribe towards your partners?
Because when you start to think about, these are the people who need to own the mission of my business, because a nonprofit is a business just like anything else. But they also need to understand the underlying mission of why we're doing it. What is it giving to the community? I have a lot of people that say they want to help with the foundation. And as soon as we start to talk about what that mission is and what the work entails, they go away. And I'm okay with it. I know it. I see it coming. But I have no problem having a conversation about what it's going to take and give you a minute to think about it. But this right here, this is what I've written down, the boundaries for the foundation, these will stay. These are clear. If you want to be a member of the board, this is what we'll do. If you want to just be a helper, that's different. That's good as well. That's, again, putting them in their place, putting them in the box that they want to be in, that you feel like they will best serve you, your foundation, your organization, that kind of thing. So we always still have to have that us in mind. You have to have that little piece that's going, how is it going to serve us and serve me? And when we talk about your tribe from the standpoint of personally, it's what can I give to them, but also what am I going to be getting in return? Because you want to give. You want to be able to give too. You want them to be able to learn. You want them to be able to trust you. You want them to be able to come to you. But at the same time, will you be getting the same thing? Being not judgmental is also huge, because a lot of times we want to share. Whether it's in business or personally, we want to be able to share without someone being so judgy that we feel bad for sharing that. Now we're going home on, dang, I feel worse now. And a lot of times you won't know that those people are who they are until it happens. And then you have to decide what you're going to do about it. Yes, ma'am.
I was sharing now that you're talking about the tribe. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Montessori method. And I've worked in Montessori for a couple of years. But one of the things that we often repeated was, we don't do this, or we didn't do it like that. And I was just the aftercare coordinator when I was going to school to get my bachelor's degree for teaching. But that's one of the things that you said. If I was ever going to make everybody act the same, in there, like you have your personality, but I wouldn't have to make up for the time that I lost because I already had already done what needed to be. And when you're asking the nonprofit organization, you have to, because your family is your family without a choice. Your friends, or people, your coworkers, you just go to work with them. But your tribe and really the people in your team, they have to think like you. They have to feel, passionate like you do about the same things that you do. They have to, be you when you're not there, and you're just part of this big old group. That's how I feel.
And I would probably challenge one of the things that you said, they have to think like you. No, they don't. Because if you're just looking for people that are you're never going to find them. You're never gonna find them. I would say you want them to compliment you and compliment how you think. And because it's always great to have somebody who's not, you know, who thinks outside of the box. Me, I am very structured. I'm very, you know, organized, and you know, this is how things need to be done. And when it goes a little haywire, I kind of lose it just a little bit. And so it's great to have people around you go, it's okay.
Yes.
I mean, like today, being in the car and stuck on 288, oh, it was really, really bad. And I almost called someone to just kind of fix it. Because I was like, who do I need to call to get me out of this? Because I'm losing my mind. But there's nothing to do. I mean, there are cars jammed in around me. I can't go anywhere. So having a person on your team, having people that are around you that complement your thought, and yes, they share your mission,
Yes.
but at the same time, there may be other ways to get there. We don't want everybody in traffic with us.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're just gonna sit there with you. We wanna be able to have somebody who already took the back roads and made it there. Be like, hey, I'm gonna tell them you're on your way. You know, that kind of thing. So that is the only thing that, you know, not saying that anything you said was wrong. That's just the one thing that I would say is just be cautious of trying to find someone that's exactly like you. Because you're never gonna find that. You are unique. You are who you are, and you know, the world may not be able to take all of you. It spontaneously combust, right? Yes,
When
ma'am.
you're developing your tribe and the people around you, one thing I'm pretty sure you've always paid attention to is listening
Yes.
to the words that are not being said. Because there are always some hidden agendas into what people are asking you.
Yes, because
You
some
know?
people want to be with you for certain reasons.
Right, exactly.
Some people don't want to hang out with Shantera.
Exactly.
They just want to hang out with the founder of a foundation or someone who started a consulting firm. And I'm okay with that, as long as I know that.
Right.
As long as, or I kind of intuitively figure it out. It's not all going to happen in one minute. It's going to be that you're going to be working with these people, or you're going to be networking with these people, and then you will figure, like, there it is. Okay, I'm good, you know, and you just, you know, you do what you have to do, put them wherever they belong.
Yes.
I also will say, you know, as much as we talk about having our tribes and making sure that we have someone who offers random acts of love and all of that, ensure that your biggest and best tribe member is you. That you are your best friend.
Yes.
Yeah, you are the chief of the tribe, and you're okay if you don't have any members at any given time. You know, I love being by myself. There's a lot of times it's a lot of peace in being, you know, because I have so many things going on. If I have an opportunity to just kind of be alone, I'm good with it. A friend of mine told me we went to Barbados for her birthday, and couples, you know, we kind of coupled up and did. My husband, he wants to roam and he wants to walk and do. I don't need to do anything. I will sit and listen to the ocean, or sit and listen to music, or sit by the pool and really not do anything. And so she was like, Shantera, we're gonna go do this. You wanna come with us? I was like, no, I'm good. She was like, so, you're gonna write it on your book? Because I'm working on a book. I was like, no, I think I'm just gonna sit here. And when we got back home, she said, I learned something about you that I didn't know. You are so good with nobody being near you. And you were like, no, really, bye. And I was like, I said, it's just peaceful to me. And so I'm okay without having those people near me at any given time. It's great to have them when you need them, but I don't need them 24/7. But that's what I know about me. Some of you may need to have someone near you to call on because of a situation that you're in right now. But it's not all the time. Just make sure that you know that you're okay with you.
Yes.
And you fill up the room just as big and full as anyone that would come with you. Did you have someone, did you have?
Answered it right after.
Oh, okay. Good, Sam. Okay, number 4, identify what angers you. So this is good too, because a lot of times we need to know who our friends are, we need to know who we love and what we want to do, but part of being who we are, we need to know what makes us upset. People won't have time for you if all you do, if you're always angry or complaining. Stephen Hawking says that, but we think about that. Who wants to hang around with somebody who's always upset, who's always down? And we have issues. We do have issues and problems, but do we want to wallow in them? No. And sometimes it is rough. Hey, I've been in situations before where I'm looking left and right up and down, and it is around me. But it's mental. It's a state of mind that I've put myself in that I have to get out of. And if I was with someone who was always in that, man, we would be in trouble. So being able to understand what are those things that get you in that funk, so you can have people around you, or you can recognize them enough to pull yourself out of it. And so 3 ways to use your anger to your advantage, though, because sometimes, you know, it's not always a bad thing that you're upset or that you're fearful. It's to use it to help you conquer your fears. So when you're upset, you may be upset that you did not speak up at a time that you should have. You're like, dang it, I should have said something. And so you're mad at yourself. We've all been there too. I was mad that I didn't listen to my GPS when they told me to get off on the right way. So I was like, I just got on, why I have to get off? And then I was mad. So you use it to help, you know, what are the things I need to do? Okay, I should have spoken up. Why didn't I speak up? What are the things I need to do to ensure that I speak up next time? So I watch a lot of motivational videos and stuff, and I will say, you know, Will Smith is pretty motivational. As he's gotten older, he's become very zen, and he's a guru at things. And he turned 50, and I was watching a video with him talking about his 50th birthday. And he bungee jumped over the Grand Canyon. I was like, my God, he's gonna die. I was so nervous. Yeah. But when he was talking about it, he said something. He said, I hate being scared. And so what I'm doing this year, what I'm doing over these next, starting at 50, is ensuring I know all of the things that I'm afraid of, and I am going to conquer them this year. I'm going to do everything that I said I've been scared of doing. Now that's extreme because he jumped off the helicopter, you know, all of that crazy stuff. And he's been doing a lot of crazy things. But you don't have to go to that extreme. When you think about what makes you upset that you're afraid of, what are some of those things you can just start trying to tackle? So many people are afraid to speak in public. So many people are afraid. A friend of mine, Jessica, she would say how I saw it. It was bad. She was trying to speak in front of a group of people, and she's a fashion designer, and she was trying to explain her clothes, the things that she designed and styled, and she couldn't do it. It was terrible. I mean, it really was like, oh my God, I didn't even want to look at her. But now she's a manager at this boutique, and she has to speak at team meetings often, whether they're face-to-face or over the phone. And so what she's done is challenged herself by making her be she could have appointed someone else to present. She's making herself present. And when she told her boss about her fear, she now randomly shows up late to meetings so Jessica would have to present to the corporate. We're gonna just keep pushing it. We're gonna push that envelope. We're going to ensure that you get it, that you overcome this fear, because honestly, I feel like it's really good. One, that she has someone that's kind of championing her at work, but 2, it's gonna help her. As a fashion designer, I need you to be able to share with me what you did with these clothes. I need you to tell me what I'm gonna feel like. Sell me. I mean, I'm gonna buy it because it's cute, but I want her to be able to sell to others, people that don't know her, because that's where your business comes from, right? So she has to overcome that, and she was so upset that she couldn't do it, and now she's getting so much better. So you also need to use your anger to fuel your credibility, same as what she was doing. Because she was upset, because she had this fear, she started to overcome it. And now she's building credibility within her area, that fashion world. And use it to rally others. Use it to have people come with you, help you. So now you're becoming more persuasive. You're becoming a better you. You're becoming bolder. Your voice is starting to form. Make sure you tell me when I'm like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something, because I was going on. Did someone have something? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to what you said, oh, I didn't get a chance to say that because you get angry. I know it's something that I've worked over the years because I'll get upset. But later on, as I experience my experience in life, there's something that says, oh, the right time, a perfect time, and just say what you need to say. So it has put me in a position where I become a good listener to know if it's really the time for me to say it.
Yes.
Because I do not want to come back and do double work. It has to be a perfect time for me, so what would you say?
Yeah, and so there's this, you know, and later on, we're gonna be talking somewhere in here, we're gonna be talking about active listening. So being able to know when is the right time to speak up, to say something. Yesterday, one of the ladies at my event, I can't remember it exactly, but she was saying not every thought that you have needs to be expressed in that moment. And so I thought about that because when we're upset, we wanna get it all out. How dare you say this and this and this and go on and on and on, or whether you're at work, you're like, no, you want to defend you immediately if you feel like you're being attacked. And sometimes we have to be quiet for a minute. It may not be the right time, and it may not, and I'm not talking about for them, it's not the right time for you. Because if, think about it, you're at work and someone says something that upsets you, and you blow up on them. Did you just lose your job? Yeah. Are you okay with losing your job? Did you think about it before you said it? What are those things that you said? And it's okay. And I will say this, and I may have said it in in years other presentations, but it is okay to ask for a timeout of any conversation that you feel like you are not going to be able to get your point across. I've had to do that several times. When I was in corporate America, I was sitting across from my boss, and he was starting to give me my performance review. And he did something that you really shouldn't do, which is start with negative. Right. You really should be starting and ending with positive. And putting everything else in perspective in the middle. And so he was starting with negative, and it just happened to be something that I absolutely didn't agree with. I felt like I had a perspective, and he had a perspective. And he was sharing, but he was sharing it very strongly. Not being mean, but the words he was choosing was, I could feel it. It was boiling inside. And I just said, as he was talking, I just said, can we get a minute, Gary? And I stopped him for a moment, and he said, yeah, what's going on? He's oblivious to me just losing it. And I said, can we pause this meeting for at least a couple of hours, or better yet, first thing in the morning? And he looked at me, and he said, okay, why? And I said, because I'm not receiving anything that you're saying. I don't agree is one thing, but the fact that I don't hear you anymore, because my brain is moving because of the things I want to get out, I need time to process. And in my mind, I was thinking, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing that I'm asking him to stop it, but I know I can't do this because the next word out of my mouth is going to be something that it shouldn't be, right? And so he said, fine. So he looked at his schedule. We couldn't do it until 8 o'clock the next morning. I was good with that. 8 o'clock the next morning, before we even started, he said, first thing, I've never had anyone do that, and I applaud you for saying, I'm not receiving anything that you said. He said, secondly, it gave me time to think, I started that meeting so wrong.
Thank you.
And then we went on, and so after he shared, because he still had his same perspective, but I had an opportunity to kind of fix my words and share what I felt was different. And we did come to something, I shed some light on the situation that he didn't know, and vice versa. What he shared to me, there were some things that I didn't know. And so it wound up not being as bad as we both thought it was going to be. But had we continued that conversation, I'm sure. I am sure that I probably wouldn't have been there as long as I was. 13 years would have probably been cut short at 5. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to share something similar. I'm an immigrant. Talk about being afraid of a control freak.
Not used a lot of times. That was on that boss to be able to share the positive things, the positive affirmations to keep you motivated to work there. But at the same time, when it's time to go because you're not hearing it. And it's their loss. I love leaving when people are gonna miss me. It's great. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just a thought. Understanding what makes you agree, give you back the power.
It does.
Yes.
It does because anger, sometimes you're out of control a little bit, right? But when you understand that, hey, this is going a little haywire, you can manage your anger.
Right.
If you let it take you over, which it can because it's strong. And if you're in a situation where someone else is angry too, but if you can say, you hear people say, be the bigger woman, be the bigger man, it really is to your advantage to do that. Because honestly, what are you gaining by fighting with somebody, arguing an issue? you just won the issue. But did you win extra money? Did you win more time on your life? What did you win? Yes, ma'am.
I always like to tell people, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to rap. These are verses from the Bible. And if you listen, just listen, because that's the number one communication. Listen. And like you said, you don't have to tell everybody what's on your mind. Because, I mean, one thing, you cannot take back words.
You can't, and you can't take back how you made someone feel.
Right.
Yes.
I have a question, maybe you can help me with, because I'm always stressed on it. I have an over-empowering type boss.
Okay.
And she's not professional. I've never seen professionalism in her. I don't even think she knows the word means. And I do. And I sit there sometimes in the meeting, she calls me for the dumb stuff. It has nothing to do with the job. It's all personal. And so what I want to know is, how do I handle her when she asks me my personal business all the time? And it's all the time.
So
I don't know what to do. I'd be like caught off guard with her. And I don't want to go into my deep selves. It's none of your business. Get on my face. You don't own me. Okay, but I can't. I know.
See how she came Don't do that.
Well, a couple of times I can use myself because I actually
You sort of lean forward?
and she can move back. Because I got frustrated. Because I don't know how to handle her.
Right.
And she's been on vacation, and I know she's going to come back with that attitude, and I just want to know how. Because I just put my resume back on Indeed.
Because of that.
And 3 years ago, she saw it. She was pulling up the teachers. Unfortunately, that is the first thing on mine.
Right.
And she waited until everyone left my classroom, and then she won't face me. She do it behind my back. And she says, is there something, she said, I was looking for a job for teachers, and your resume popped up. Is there something you need to tell me? Oh, no. I was like, what? Did she?
No.
So how do you handle that? Because
My resume was there because it's been there, and I have not taken it off.
Well, actually, I did, because she stressed me out, because she did it on Wednesday, and she forgot, and called me on Saturday. I'm sitting on the sofa, eating tea, watching my television. I looked up, and it's her, 8 a.m. I said, I'm on my weekend, but I'm curious. So I answered. She says, I was looking for teachers, and I said, oh, didn't we just have this conversation on Wednesday?
Is she a nurse?
So I have read while she's been on vacation, which means it's going to pull back up.
So this is the thing. One, your personal time is your personal time.
You ain't got to answer.
There's not any job, well, there are jobs that tell you when you need to be, kind of on call and things of that nature. If you are not in a position where you're on call, your phone does not have to be answered. That's number one. So that's a decision that you can make. Number two, if someone was to ask, and I've never taken my resume down. It's still there now, even though I have my own company. Because there are companies that look for consultants to come in and just do things, right? And so the answer for, I was out on Indeed or whatever, and I saw your resume, is there something you want to tell me? Actually, no. No is a complete sentence. No. And then also, it is, if you feel like you want to elaborate, you don't have to explain your actions, but you could easily say, my resume stays there. It stays ready because you never know what's happening. I'd love to know what other, my worth. I love to gauge my worth.
Because I've been kind of stressing, because I know she's been on vacation, and I know she's
But you don't owe her, but the thing is, we don't owe anyone an answer for us.
Explanation.
And that's the thing, you don't owe someone an explanation for you. You're an adult just like she's an adult. And for 13 years, when I first started out in corporate America, when I graduated from college, I worked for NASA. 13 years as a consultant, but was there for 13 years. Had the same client for that same amount of time. And I would say around year 5 or so, I was told, you're gonna be working with this lady. We haven't really been able to find anyone that can work with her. Everybody tends to lose their mind. And I was thinking, okay, so you're gonna give her to me. I'm gonna lose my job. But she was someone that would come and just vent. She would share the issues and the situations that she had with her job that she didn't like. issues and situations at her about her man that she didn't like, about her children. And one day, and I don't even know, I hadn't thought about it that much, but it just came to me, and I said, Kim, you are going to find something out about me. And this was me setting boundaries. I don't share personal things at work. And I tend to like to keep business, personal. So if you can just keep your personal to you, I think we'll be able to work better.
Yes.
And she kind of sat there a minute. And I was thinking she's gonna be mad, but I'm not. But, and she said, you know what? That may be the reason why I'm struggling here at work, because everybody here know about my man, everybody here know about my kid. And I was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. But I just told her, I said, but for me, it just works out better that way. And I didn't have any problems with her after that. Now she, we had our, we still had work-related things that we had to work through, but she stopped. She actually accepted that boundary. And I think it was because she was mature enough to know that she was doing something. She had crossed the line. And no one else had called her on that line. I did.
Well, I want to put that because I really know.
And I didn't have any attitude with it. I was just very clear. This is about me. This is not about you.
Right.
For me, this is how I work best.
Right. Thank you.
And then I just was quiet. I just left it. And I was like, so we're gonna, set up a meeting to talk about this process. And, I just kind of, went into the next thing that was on the agenda to actually talk about. I made everything business. So don't feel like you have to share anything with anyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
Does someone else have something? Okay. Identifying what you do well. So this goes to understanding who you are and the things that you want to do. Kind of get to your passion, because this whole thing is about your voice, right? And our voice is so many things. So do fewer things and do them well. Focus on the things only you can do. Do the important things which must be done now. Eric Barker said that. So I tend to say, when I talk about having people who try to take your brand, take who you are they really going to do it? Are they going to do it the right way? Had I let that pastor have that event, what would it have looked like? Part of me was like, I wonder what that would have looked like. That wouldn't have been right. That didn't do. Because that's not really what she did well. She was just trying to find something to do. We tend to be very desperate, especially when it comes to business and trying to make money, because the world tells us we have to make money. So we're going and looking for people who are making money, and we're going to do what they do. We're going to do that. And you see that a lot now with companies. Once their patent expires on something, somebody else is out there doing the same thing. We're going to do that too, because they made $1 billion doing it, so I know I'm going to make $1 billion doing it. Not that I'm thinking about anything new. I say it a lot too with all of the reboots of movies from back in the day. We're just gonna do them over. Why? Okay. I liked it when it was this way. It just kind of makes me think about have fun memories. I don't need to see everybody in a new group of people doing the same thing, saying the same words. But it made Disney money before. We're gonna see if we're gonna make them some more money now. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just gonna make a comment. Lady who did that, when you try to mimic someone else with something that you want to do because you want to be as successful as them, not to be religious, but that gives you individually purposely for what your purpose is. So you cannot mimic someone else's just because they succeeded in that area.
Exactly. Trying to be someone else is not going to work. That's why saying that you need so many people around you that are you, that's not going to work. If anything, you're just going to continue to clash. So when you talk about understanding the things that we do well, sometimes this is when you want to ask for some feedback. It'd be great to know what people think I do well. So I'm going to ask those people that I trust, what do you like about me when you see me talking? What do you like about me when you see me in the doing my consulting work? What is it that makes you want to work with me? And it helps because you ask them that the people that you trust, they'll tell you your strengths, but sometimes they'll tell you your weaknesses too. And that's not a bad thing because you may not have seen them. We all think we're great. We're not worried about what we don't do. We may know they're there, but we may not know how they're showing up. What are people seeing How are they feeling? Now I know when I start to get frustrated, when I need to end the conversation. Because if I don't, things are gonna get just like a little rough. And one of the things that my husband told me was, he goes, your words stab me. Your words are stabbing. You don't use profanity a lot and all of that, but how you say it, you make me feel like I'm scum. What day was that? Was it intentional? But he was like, but that's what I want you to understand. When you get to that point, it's there, and there is no bringing you back. So let's try to make sure you let me know that you are on your way there. So now he has these cues. He's like, I already know when I've gotten to the point with you. You will. And he said, apparently I have something that I say about you not getting to tell me what I need to do or something. And he's like, once you start telling me that, and your head gets to going, it's like, hey, she's in fight mode.
Right.
But I don't know that's happening. He told me what he saw. Why do they like you? This is good because now it's, do you like me because of what I'm giving to you? Is it all, when they say, why do you like me? And you're saying, oh, because you always come over here and you give me stuff. I always end up with extra money in my pocket. If it's all about what I'm giving to you, now you're learning something else. Their intentions, and even also how open you're being. Maybe you should be a little bit closed in certain areas. So you want to make sure you're learning a lot. But again, you're asking people that you're going to believe. You're asking those that you trust. And what can you be dependent on for? What is it that you absolutely know that people are going to know about you? People know that I'm going to do my best to always be there for them. I show up. I'm dependable in that way. If you call me, I'm going to answer the phone. And that's something that people have said. I can't believe you answer the phone. Women that you don't even know, in the middle of the night, you'll pick up the phone. If my phone is on, I will answer it. If you're telling me you need something, and I've had people obviously say, I need money, I'm in a shelter, I did this, or I'm just left a bad situation, I'm going to find you somewhere to stay. I'm going to give a PayPal account, we're going to get you some money in there so you can go get some food. You know, those that is what I know that I can be dependent on for. What are some of the things that you know about you, or that someone has told you about you? Yes.
So I've kind of dealt with this family issue. I'm from South Africa, so like everyone looks at me as a savior. Like, you have dollars. And I'm like, I have 3 kids too.
Yeah, I got stuff.
Exactly. And like whenever I visit home, I'm always having these cousins that I'm just now meeting. They're like, I have this business idea, and you can support it and fund it. And I'm like, but what about my business idea? Like, who's gonna fund me? Who's going, so like, I'm trying to find a way to not, like, I wanna support my family in a way, but in the same token, I don't wanna support my family. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
So like, what is the nicest, cause like, I'm doing an Airbnb in South Africa. And because of that, they're looking at me like, are you about to have money? I'm like, I just started with the foundation. The world's not even up. And I'm already counting how much money I'll be making. I wanted to do like a party and be like, attention everybody, don't ask me for money. So like, do you have some advice for me? I actually talking to my opinion of it.
So as you're talking, I'm seeing me. As you're talking, I'm seeing me, but I'm also, you said South Africa. I was like, have you seen Trevor Noah's video on the black tax?
I'm actually just like Trevor Noah with both.
Yeah.
Apartheid, that whole thing,
Yeah, when he talks about that, and when he said his mother said she was going to give him something that he did, that he would be grateful for, that he wouldn't have to do, and that's never have to pay back the black tax.
Right.
And I was like, black tax, what is he talking about? But he explained it very much like that. You don't have to owe the family.
Yes.
You don't have to owe, because he did not, get the name of the family. He gives his whole explanation. Yeah, Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've had that because I was the first in my family to graduate from college. The first to, kind of go out and be in corporate America. The first to, own their own business and all of these things. And even on social media, when I have like an accolade or something, I had an article published in the Houston Business Journal. And so people were liking it and so I always see the extra family members that I never see out there liking and loving it and saying, oh, cuz, hey, we need to get together and all that. And I was like, So I personally have had to have the tough conversation. And that tough conversation is, don't ask me for money. I also, you heard me say earlier when we talked about setting boundaries, address and phone number. If you don't know it, you shouldn't call me for anything.
Oh.
Address and phone number, that's how I made my wedding invitation list. Have they called me? Do they know where I live? Other than that, I'm not gonna pay for you to party on me. I mean, it's just kind of my thing. Because I know who I want in my circle and around me, those are the people who I would give the right to come tell me if they're struggling, and if I can help you, I will. Even when it comes to like my mom and, really close family, they know that if I have it, I will give it. If I don't have it, or if you have to ask me for it, that probably means I don't have it. Right. Because I'm very, I'm in my family's life. I know when they're struggling. Yes. My mom, she got upset with me because I guess I'm an extra contact for like an electricity bill or something. And I saw that they sent an email out saying that she was late or past due or something. So when I went over to visit, I just gave her the money. And she was like, what are you doing? And I said, Stream Energy said you ain't paid your bill. I was like, it's summertime. And she was like, how dare them tell you that? I'm gonna go change my thing. But I was like, the bottom line is here. You need it, obviously. You didn't tell me you were late. I found out I have it to give. She didn't ask. Because she knows that if I know something is needed, I'm gonna automatically give it. It's who I am. I can be dependent on for helping if I have it in me.
Yes.
Beyond that, I will be on my knees for you every day.
Right.
And sometimes that's more than money. That's better than money. So I've had to specifically say, don't. And my family also has known that I don't give out my phone number and I don't give out my address because of that. And so if no one has my number, if they don't know my address, that helps with that though. It helps not have the conversation often. Yes, ma'am.
And then also Steve Harvey has a rule. He said he gives people, if they call and ask him for help, he waits 48 hours before he responds back.
To see if it's really needed.
Yeah, because by that time, if people haven't taken care, they've usually taken care of what they need to take care of.
How much time? I'm sorry. 10.
I'll be 15.
15, okay. Tip 6, understand what gives you hope. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. So when you say understanding what gives you hope, you have to have meaningful goals. And I always say SMART goals too. And so for anyone who doesn't know what SMART goals are, this is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound, but meaningful. So if you're talking about who you are and you're trying to understand what your voice is and what is it that you're trying to do moving forward, give yourself time to be that. You can't just because you wrote it down today say, I'm gonna do, this is who I am today. All of a sudden I have turned over a new leaf. Because people say it all the time, right? I turn over a new leaf, but the other one's still under it, right? Well, that's because we didn't give ourselves time. We should say we are turning over. It should be a process because we're all works in process.
Yes.
And we're not gonna get there tomorrow. And that's the problem with, weight loss and all of the things that we do. We want it tomorrow. Or we want it today. We want it today. Number 7 says, understand what you have always wanted. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. So pinpointing your passion, that's what helps you to kind of define you. helps you to build who you are. So remembering what you loved as a child. A lot of times we already know what we want to be based on what we were hanging out and doing. And sometimes not. I mean, sometimes I used to say I'm going to be a lawyer, and I was like, well, later once I realized how many books and how much reading and how many years of school was going to be, maybe not. But the one thing that I loved was talking. Go figure. I would sit up and I would have my friends come and we would have class, or we'd have like a talk day or whatever, I just call it something. And I would have kind of a little board, it was a chalkboard, and I would just talk. We would pick something, I'd be like, tell me something to talk about. And I would just go. And my mom's like, you are boring these kids, they came down here to play, and you have them sitting here like they're in school. But it does dictate something about me, wanting to be able to talk, wanting to be able to share, wanting to be able to communicate. So really think about those things, and if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing?
Traveling.
Because a lot of times we do what we do because we have to pay bills. We don't do what we do because we absolutely love it. But wouldn't it be great if we can somehow figure out both of them, let what we love help us pay our bills? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We do have reality. The reality of this world is we have bills to pay. But when you're starting to try to figure out what's passionate, what drives you, what your voice is about, you don't have to think about money, because your voice should not be able to be bought. Identifying your hero. A lot of times people say, think about who you just loved as a kid that you always like to talk, and you know, whether it was someone on TV or your parents or somebody's friend, who did you always look at that you would say, I want to be like them? And think about that and try your best to figure out what characteristics about them that you liked that you could easily start to build up. When I worked at NASA, it was the first time that I saw other women that looked like me just kind of speaking up in meetings. And I would just watch them. I was like, let's just see how she's doing it. There was this one lady, Tandra Allen, and she had so much respect. You know, when she spoke, they listened to her. And I would just be like, that's pretty cool. And even when she disagreed, I loved how she disagreed. It was very respectful because it's in her demeanor to not, you know, kind of be loud and, you know, verbose. She was just like, no, this is what I'm saying. And she always had her data to back up her things. I was like, okay, so I need to try to do that. And this was me being very young and I'm just observing the people that are around me. And so I would just go talk to her every once in a while. Didn't really tell her I'm trying to be her or anything. I just wanted to kind of understand what she'd learned there, had been there so long. She still works there now, but I always think about her when I think about, okay, did I say that the right way? Or what do I need to portray to other people? She's always kind of just in the back of my mind. And thinking of what you enjoy that you always do well. So we always just talk about what you do well, but thinking about what you enjoy doing, what makes you happy, what doesn't feel like work. Sometimes we're just always working. But there are some things that we do that we just do naturally. And that's where you really want to make sure that your voice kind of depicts that. Because if we're trying to pick it, why not pick the great stuff? Not just the things we have to do, the things we want to do. Identify the change you want to see in the world and be it. So a lot of times we talk about all of the things that we want to see. I wish politicians were this. I wish they would do this. And somebody needs to do this. Why can't we be that somebody? Why can't you be the one that makes the change? If you change yourself, you will change your world. That's pretty simple. And of course it's easier, easy said than done. But it's also just easy. If you think about it, you're expecting other people to change for you. Why can't you change for you? Because it's harder for them to change for your liking because they're not in your head. You know what you want. You know the type of person you want to be. Or you know it would make you be the type of person that would make you do more and be better. So why not try to do it yourself? Now, yes, I know that sometimes being at work and working for someone, or you don't own every piece of it to be able to make a change. There are little things that you can do. You always need to understand your options. And if you change how you think, you will change how you feel and the actions you take. Understand the reasons for your hesitance to change and conquer them. So a lot of times we will say, I'm not doing that. Why? Why has to be at the end of that? You can't, I'm not doing it, or because, we love to say because I said so, because really, we hate when the kids ask why, right? Why do we hate when they ask why? Because we have to come up with the reason. We have to have an answer. And with this, if you're talking about other people changing for you, and someone turns it on you and says, well, why don't you make that? Why don't you do it? What is your why for why you're not doing it? Is it because I'm scared? Is it because I don't want to? Is it because I'm lazy? Really, this is time to be real with yourself. Because if the answer is because I don't want to right now, I've had all of it, okay, good. But should you be expecting someone else to stop and do it for you? 9 is cultivate your ability to listen. I think we've talked about this a lot, the active listening. The word listen contains the same letters as silent. Just switch them around and decide which is best for you at that moment. Should you be listening and being silent, or should you be talking? Talking is not up there. We're talking about listening. And in order to listen, you need to be quiet. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. Monica already has them, so she'll be able to share. And so how to actively listen, we've talked about this. Understanding that most communication is nonverbal, really being able to look at those cues. Understand that when people start to tense up in their chairs, they're uncomfortable. When they tune you out completely, what did you just say? How did you just, what is that glassy look in that person's eye? What does that mean? Being able to do that and see that and recognize it. So listening before you speak. And I would also say listening to listen and understand, and not listening just for the period so you can jump in. Because there are some people who will they just have something ready. They have their answer cocked and ready to go. As soon as they hear that pause, they're going to jump in, even if it doesn't, make sense anymore. Because they were not listening to you. Oh yeah. But if they're listening to understand, they're going to change that. So you think about someone that you watch, that you love, that listens well. You're like, dang, they did a good job with that. And then try to emulate that person, or figure out what it is that makes them a good listener. Also think about how you like to be listened to. This is about us. And then seeing yourself from another person's point of view. I think we've just talked this one pretty much to death. But I like Lady Gaga's quote here. Don't you ever let a soul in the world tell you that you can't be exactly who you are. A lot of times, again, going back to living for social media, putting all of that out there and allowing people to attack you and you taking that to heart. So if you don't want their perspective, don't ask it. And so perceptions, do you have a perception problem? Ask yourself, how do you see yourself versus the way other people see you? I mentioned, I was saying what my husband said about me. I didn't see that in me, but that's what he saw. And the question is, do I want to change that? Do I care enough that he's feeling that way that I want to change that? The answer is yes for me, but for other people, you have to answer that question for yourself. We can only make real progress with people when we begin to understand their version of reality. Not agree with it, just understanding. You don't have to agree with their version of reality, but as long as you understand it and you know where they're coming from, that helps you to be able to respond to their responses of you. And then 11, get honest with yourself. So this is really about, honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. Thomas Jefferson said that, but it's really about looking at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror and be really honest about what you see. One of those things is there. Why? So you can become mentally strong, know what you want, and be honest with others, but also so you can have clarity. Until you're true and understand that these are my warts, these are my scars. I heard a story, Taraji P. Henson, the actress, she was saying that her first time she had to do like a love scene. she just went and stood in the mirror, took all of her clothes off and said, "This is me." She made sure she knew where every scar was on her, every imperfection, and she owned it. And she said she loved it because she knew tomorrow she's got to do that in front of the camera. And those things were going to be there for the world. But in order for her to do her job properly, which was portray a strong woman, she needed to be okay with who she was. So being able to look at yourself, warts and all, is invaluable. And finding someone that believes in you. This quote by Christopher Robin, I have it in my closet. I read it every day before I walk out the door because it's up the wall right on the door. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. What people see is probably better than what you see because we're our own worst critics. So you have to be able to believe in you. So what happens when you believe in you is you highlight your best qualities. People highlight your qualities when they believe in you. They focus on the positive and they teach us to believe in ourselves. So my thing is those topics, those statements all start with they. They should start with you. You highlight your best qualities. You should be able to help you focus on the positive and teach you to believe in yourself. You should believe in you. All of these things, and y'all know we rammed them all in together here today in this hour or so, hour and a half. It's about helping you define who you are, define your voice. And if you just take those little pieces of that, one at a time, you will start to build something that you can be proud of, which is you. So, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Your Toilet Book Club, and I think you're going to be able to get a copy of that book. So, I appreciate you guys so much.
All right, thank you.